The Little Girl with the Two Big Hair, written by Jana Peterson. To the little girl trying to accept her natural beauty, and to the little girl in all of us. A sad little girl from just up the block enters the school gate and heads up the walk. She passes her classmates who clutter the halls, the beauties, the class clowns, the know-it-alls. And careful not to lift her eyes from the floor, she goes to her classroom and moves through the door. Her voice remains silent, but tears in her eyes display all the fear Ava's feeling inside. Because once the bell rings, the teasing would start. The hurtful joking that breaks Ava's heart. The snorts, the giggles, the funny looks, and passing of notes behind textbooks. This lasted until the final bell rang. Then tomorrow would start up all over again. She'd lean her head down or sink into her chair and imagine she didn't have kinky hair. She was as predicted, pushed down and picked on and downright afflicted by other more popular raven-haired girls who'd chosen to straighten their own kinky curls. They told her her hair was too easily tangled and laughed that it stood up while all of theirs dangled. They said that her kinks would never compare to their chemically altered and heat-treated hair. She thought on their words as she made her way home and searched till she found an old straightening comb. Although she was scared of its frightening heat, she only backed down once the job was complete. She dragged that comb as it smoked, popped, and fizzled, and straightened and flattened her kinks, coils, and frizzles. She smiled at the mirror through smoky gray air. At last, she was rid of that big, kinky hair. That night, she had the most pleasant of dreams, of going to school without being teased, of entering classrooms where kids were much kinder, all thanks to the ponytail swinging behind her. She dreamed of the invites to go to the mall with beauties, class clowns, and know-it-alls, of them asking forgiveness for being unfair by putting her down when she had kinky hair. However, the next day was far, far worse. They were meaner to her than they had been at first. Ava couldn't believe their shocking rebuffs, that her brand new straight hair was not straight enough, at least before it could pass as a style, if what you were seeking was nappy and wild. But what can be done with this in-between state, with hair neither kinky nor perfectly straight? To deal with the anger and sadness she felt, she ran to the bathroom to be by herself. She stared quite sadly at her reflection, trying to make sense of her classmates' rejection. As she stood staring, the door opened wide, to let a few girls tumble loudly inside. She moved out of sight to hide what was there: her sadness, her fear, and her half kinky hair. The girls who had entered, please bear in mind, were what you might call the popular kind, with a look in their eyes and a skip in their steps that told those watching of their confidence. But what they did next was watch their reflections, each one pointing out her own imperfections, while Ava looked on both confused and surprised because they seemed perfect in her eyes. One hated her nose, which took too much space, destroying her otherwise perfect face. There was one who declared her lips were too thin. Another one fussed at her too freckled skin. One girl was convinced that her teeth were too small. One girl was too short. One girl was too tall. And these flaws Ava hadn't noticed before were now all but impossible to ignore. There in the bathroom, it finally made sense. These flaws had been hidden by their confidence, but by bashing their features, true or untrue, their flaws came to Ava's attention too. She knew exactly what had to be done to stop her bullies from making fun. If the same principle applied to her, she'd started the bullying and she was the cure. For the rest of the day, the jokes didn't cease, but Ava still felt unusual peace. When she got home, she set to the task of washing her big, kinky hair right back. She looked in the mirror at just how she was, deciding she liked her own natural fuzz. And she'd undo the years of ridicule by telling herself she was beautiful. The jokes didn't stop immediately. The next day, the next week, or even 3. Still, she held her head high and focused on those who weren't making fun of her gorgeous afro. She was surprised by how many there were who loved her hair and envied her. And as she grew stronger and less insecure, the jokes didn't sting her so much anymore. As for the bullies, they noticed a difference and slowly but surely began to lose interest. They shifted their taunting to anyone else who knew not the safety of loving themselves. The lesson she learned, Ava never forgot. And to those in need, this lesson she taught. It has nothing to do with the thoughts of your peers. It's accepting yourself that makes flaws disappear. I hope that you all enjoyed that story, and I hope that you all remember the message that Ava learned by the end of the book is that you have to accept who you are and love who you are. All right. So I hope that you all continue to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day, and make sure that you share this video, and make sure you give us some likes And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified immediately when I upload the next Read Aloud. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching. Take care. Peace.